Hey, we wanted to introduce you to a friend of the organization, an organization that is doing incredible work here in Indianapolis. They are literally rebuilding lives, utilizing this craftsmanship, this beautiful craftsmanship, and they are doing God's work, missionary work, to be able to help out individuals in Indianapolis. I want to introduce you to Dan Mays, shop assistant at Purposeful Design. Dan, how are you doing today?
Hi,
I'm
Dan.
great. Thank you so much, Aaron and Brittany, for inviting us to come in and talk a little bit about what we're doing.
You're more than welcome, Dan. Purposeful Design is such an amazing company here in Circle City. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, be glad to. About 3 years ago, our director, David Palmer, who was already involved with some of the men down at Wheeler Mission, he did a regular Bible study. He would frequently ask the men, how can we help you when you leave this place? And he got a recurring request for, I need a job. And so David Palmer, our founder and director, had this idea, had this vision, I think, to start up a small business and employ some of these men. And I came on board with him from the start. So he and I have been working shoulder to shoulder for, well, it's 3.5 years now. And this thing has grown, and we've seen God's blessing, so we're glad about that.
Oh, absolutely. It's an incredible opportunity that you're providing these men, and they're learning such an incredible product and a vocation. The woodworking, the craftsmanship that Purposeful Design provides is amazing, and it is not just furniture. I mean, it is inspirationally driven furniture, and some of the unique designs that you have, and we're throwing some on screen, and we'll go full screen on a couple of these. It is just amazing to be able to see the quality of the work.
It's beautiful.
Go ahead and bring that up full screen, guys, if you could. Some of this furniture is just amazing. I can't speak to the wood. You certainly could, but I mean, look at some of these images here. I mean,
It's a good-looking table.
that's a beautiful table. The craftsmanship is fantastic. You use I couldn't even speak to it, but I mean, just look at the amazing layouts that you have here. Can you talk about some of these pieces that you're seeing right there?
Absolutely. We use native Indiana hardwoods, and we've we started out building small pieces of furniture for the homeowners and things like that, but we realized there was another market out there that we tapped into, some business offices, and we've been building conference tables and work desk and cafe tables for so many businesses here in central Indiana. And these are just some of the pictures. Right there's a hanging bed made out of hickory.
It's so pretty.
We just delivered that a couple of weeks ago. And so that's what we build. And some of these items that we build, we've never done it before. So the learning curve, even for myself and our shop foreman, is pretty steep sometimes, learning how to get these things made. But we're all learning together.
Yeah.
And mostly we're learning as men to work together, to learn together. And, you know, the thing, I like the intro that I think Brittany mentioned, that we're not just building furniture, we're trying to build lives, and that's what we're there for. You know, I'm convinced that by design, a man needs to wake up each morning and have a purpose, have something to go to.
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't doubt that's true for a lady as well, but I know men, and
well,
that's
they need something to craft.
Absolutely.
And I mean, collectively, people want to be able to accomplish something, and they want to be able to see the efforts of their work.
Absolutely, yes. At the end of the day, a man needs to have used his mind or his inward man, his soul, but also his hands to make something, to
I want to touch on your history too, because I think it leads into so much what this company has become. You are a retired Marion County firefighter.
That's
so
right.
First and foremost, thank you for that. We appreciate
Absolutely.
your service
You're
there.
welcome.
And so obviously you've worked alongside some pretty rough and tough guys. And I think it's so interesting now that your journey has brought you to working with these men and really trying to help them find their mission, through employment and through relationships and fatherhood and those sorts of things. What has your journey been like from, out there doing the stuff, and then now you're trying to get into the hearts of these people and really help them find more meaning?
Absolutely. Yeah, my history of work has prepared me for this. God has given me great opportunities. I first was employed when I left college. I became involved in concrete construction, did that for about 12 years full time, and learned to work hard. And then I went into the fire service, and that's an interesting culture there. Good people, kind of private, kind of tight, a closed culture in ways. But these men also need to be fulfilled. And even though they have a prestigious job and a meaningful job, a call to duty, even in the firehouse, men can get discouraged and they can derail. Yeah. And I just found myself more and more wanting to help keep the men encouraged, as I found encouragement in my own life from my dad. I had a wonderful father. And at the same time, those years I was raising a family. I raised 3 sons. They're all adults now, and so proud of each of them.
Oh.
I also raised 3 daughters. My wife and I raised a big family.
And they're okay too.
they're doing great. Actually, they are doing extremely great. And so then when I retired, the year I turned 60, I retired from the fire service. It was time to walk away from that and give someone else an opportunity. So this is when Mr. Palmer was ready to get this going, and I'd never met the man, someone brought our hands together and says, "You guys need to meet." And the funny part was, he had been told that I was a carpenter. I've helped frame houses. I set formwork for concrete for years. Well, being a framer is one type of carpenter. Being a furniture builder's a different level. So my learning curve was extremely steep as well, but I believed in what we were trying to do. And again, working with these men just inspired me to keep going.
You have the best energy. I'm just so calm. He just calms me right down. I love your energy.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the men that you have, that Purposeful Design helps. Where do they come from?
Most of the ones we've employed, and in 3.5 years, we've seen 30 men come through our program. Some have moved on to better opportunities. Some have ended up back up on the streets in discouragement. But the majority of them have come through a program with Wheeler Mission or another ministry called Hebron down in Martinsville. And most of these guys have come through some sort of addiction that they're being rehabilitated from. A lot of them have been homeless. Right. And they're not old men either. These are, you can see in the picture, some of these guys are in their mid-20s and 30s. But they've come through some hard times. But you know what? One thing that I've observed over the years is I know these men, and most of them I know very personally. I get involved in their lives. Yep. In addition to doing some training. But every one of them, their story is, there was no father figure in my life. If they knew their dad, their dad wasn't present, or he didn't care, or he was angry. And so that we've seen a trend there. And so that's something I think is we need to understand about the needs of children, the needs of a young man, is to have a significant father figure in their life. And I think if we can accomplish more of that, and that's a call for all of our community, churches, businesses, all of us work together to enhance the fatherhood in our community. But if we can start repairing that one piece of it, we can do a lot of restoring. I'm convinced.
Absolutely, and that goes to the mission of Purposeful Design, is that you are you're talking about walking a path together. Yeah. And as fathers, they have a role. If those fathers aren't there, organizations such as Purposeful Designs, and there's a number of organizations around the city, are taking up that mantle and
Yes.
actually demonstrating what it means to actually get back to a community, what it means to actually learn a vocation and skill. And you have the chance, as you're providing that tangible work, to be able to speak to their heart, be able to speak to their soul, and be able to guide them, and give them alternative paths on which they can walk, right?
Absolutely, yes. And one of our objectives is to not just give them help in employment, a job skill, and not just to give them life skills, because some of them don't have other life disciplines, like being on time,
Right.
being prompt.
Right.
That's we take that for granted almost, especially in this business. But some men have not been shaped that way.
That's right.
But another thing that we really want to create in these men is a hunger for spiritual healthiness. And we're not really a church. We're not. We are supported by some churches, but we believe that we can give them the best job opportunity in the world. We can connect them with good people. But if they haven't got in their inward part, I call it, their inner man, if there's not some sort of reconciling that goes on between them and God and them and others, keep people in their lives, their father, maybe a spouse, maybe their own children.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If some of that if we haven't taught these guys how to reconcile those relationships, the hope that we give them by working at Purposeful Design will not last. It's unsustainable without inward health.
Absolutely. Well said. And I think that is demonstrated for all the work that you do there. You see a pride, but in for the men that manufacture what they're manufacturing, but it's very apparent what your mission is whenever you're looking at not only your website, but also the product and what the men are doing. So it's good to be able to see that type of leadership from organizations. Now, you credit a lot of your team's success to the amazing donors and the partners that you have. Can you would you like to recognize any of them here today?
Yes, and thank you for that observation. And a lot of that the credit goes to David Palmer, who's a real solid man and a heart for what's right, and the energy that he puts into this. And he has surrounded himself with good people. And a lot of the big donors I'm not very familiar with.
Sure.
I know our home church that David Palmer and I attend at College Park on the north side of Indy is a big support of us. They contribute, especially in the beginning days, they contributed heavily. But we are now at the place where we're self-sustained. Now, we still take donations.
Sure.
Give us what you can give us. Recently, we had a couple of saw stops donated. A saw stop is a very high-tech table saw that the technology is such that if you touch your finger to the blade, the saw will stop, and it might nick your finger, but it won't harm you.
Right.
So, and those are high-dollar items. We've had 2 of those donated in the last year.
That is fantastic.
That's a game changer.
It is. So we appreciate that kind of support from the community and businesses that buy our furniture. Salesforce just recently purchased. We built conference tables, cafe tables, workspace desk for 4 different levels of that tower. It used to be the Chase Tower, and they got it. And 4 of those levels, they went in and remodeled it, made it for their purposes, and allowed us to build their furniture. And that's the single biggest contract we've had so far.
It's a fantastic. I mean, if you have a chance to go to Salesforce, you got to check out this furniture. It is fantastic, and kudos to Purposeful Design. That was a great vote of confidence. But you guys have fantastic woodwork. We also saw some of your work over at 12 Stars Media. Our friends of the show and the organization, Rocky Walls, was a huge proponent of Purposeful Design. So
and they were fun to work with. They're very creative.
Yes,
we love to. My thing is, if you can draw it, we can build it.
Well, that's what I want to touch on too, is the actual products that you are creating here, because like every piece of wood and every piece of furniture you're creating, everything is unique and by hand, and everything is different than the last thing. So can you tell us how your team approaches each of these projects and kind of how they stay focused when there's so many different unique pieces going on?
Well, it's not easy.
Right.
And our shop director named Justin Christian, he's very good and he's very creative. And he is not willing to let any opportunity pass. And so he'll get it, and sometimes he'll sit down with me or the sales team, and we'll talk with the customers like, well, we can do this, we can't quite do that. But more than once, we've been handed a work order out in the shop, and I'm looking at this thing. It's like,
What is it?
And right now, we've got a it's called a waterfall table. It's a large table that has continuing sides down. It is so big that I'm not sure how we're going to get it out the door, because we're in a small facility right now, and that's short-lived. We're going to move into a bigger facility.
It's all one piece, right?
It's all one piece.
Yeah.
It can't be dismantled. And actually, I was talking to the guys just
You're
the
gonna
other
have
day.
to
It's
put
like,
a hole in the wall.
how are we
Take
going
out
to
the
get this out
wall.
the door? But a lot of pieces, like one that we're looking, it's integrated into it is some pop-up, electronics for
That was beautiful.
for your
Audio,
whatever,
the feeds, all the electronic
all that
feeds.
stuff that you're familiar with. But we're doing that kind of stuff. Some of the bases, that piece right there has a metal welded base. We did not build that. We hired that out. But in our new facility, because we have more room and we're really going to grow, we're going to take on our own metalworking.
Very cool.
We do build our own black pipe framework. We've got a pipe cutting and threading machine, and so we do a lot of that ourselves.
Very cool. Very
So
cool.
you do all the things.
Yes, we do it all, and we do our own finishing. We've got a very crude-looking spray booth that we built, but it works. And we've outgrown it, but it still works.
Gets the job done.
The young man that does most of our finishing and spraying, he's just a fine young man named Vince, and he's got a family that lives just down there a few blocks from where we work. And he's part of our story of someone that found hope and opportunity, and he's doing well.
Very cool.
Good job.
So you just don't do work for companies. You do work for families as well.
Yes.
So how to wrap up? How could we get the goods? I know your team designed and create some stunning cutting boards. For instance, do we have you have some examples right there. Check that out.
Well, yeah. There's on the screen. There's we make hundreds of those, and just.
Well, and your Indiana wall art, I saw that on there too. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We just made one. We got some hardwood from a gymnasium somewhere here in Indiana that was being torn down. We got some of the planks from the wood. Still had some of the painting, the blue, the red, the black striping. We got a pile of that. And so one of the guys created an Indiana plaque using that.
It's very cool.
And in fact, it has some of the basic Indiana colors, blue for Butler, red for IU, black for Purdue.
We won't talk about Purdue.
Purdue.
I like Purdue, yay.
All righty.
At any rate, but it's just, there's, some of the stuff we do, just making lots of tops, like some of the jobs with Salesforce, I think we built close to 90 large tops. And that gets kind of boring. It's just same big production work.
Right.
But then when the guys get a chance, we'll give them a little job that's more creative, that just allows them to kind of create and do something that feels good to them. And
so should people go through your website to try and make purchases? Or?
pdindy.com, you'll find us, and or come visit us. We love to host visitors. You walk in on us, and we'll show you around and make you feel at home.
Very cool.
Our place is dusty and it's not pretty right now, but like I said, we're soon to move into a much nicer facility.
Well, on top of that, honestly, you don't want to have a super pretty facility because this is construction, and you're able to. This is where work is getting done. But highly recommend all of our watchers and listeners go check out PD-Indy.com. You can also follow Purposeful Design on Twitter at PD_furniture. On Facebook, it's Purposeful Design Indy. And on Instagram, you also have PD Indy as well. If I could ask you, Dan, what would be something you would say to other companies or organizations that are wanting to give back, wanting to be able to help those in need? Purposeful Design has been able to accomplish it, but there's a lot of companies that just don't know where to go to be able to do that type of outreach.
Great question. Oh my, I wish we could explore this more.
Sure.
And I think marketing people could help us help answer that question in a big way, Aaron.
Yep.
Aaron, I'm serious. But what's one of the hardest parts about what we've done here at PD is we've started a ministry that was needed, but it's also a business that needs to be self-sustaining.
Right.
The people that have supported us have said, this is what you need to do. And it is hard to do a startup business. How many small businesses just struggle to make it after 3 or 4 years?
Sure.
But they're not, and they're hiring the best people they can find. And they're all about just business decisions. Well, we're also handling something different. We're handling
You're handling souls.
Souls, thank you.
Yep.
And the two often compete. So what I've thought at times is, what if an established business, some guys that have been in business for 20 years, they're going strong, they could absorb a little bit of something else.
Right.
Take on 2 guys that come out of Wheeler,
Right.
or another program like that, and bring them in as interns, as just, and yeah,
Yep.
when you hire someone new, it takes a while. You invest money in them. It takes a while for you to recoup. But don't do it for that reason. Do it because these men need an opportunity. Give them 6 months, a year, however you want to establish this, and give these guys an opportunity. And if many businesses did that,
Right.
we could knock this thing out.
The world would be different.
And
Absolutely.
in Indianapolis, our zip code down there at where we're at 16th and Sherman area.
Sure.
It's called Brookside area. It is the highest poverty area in all of Marion County. So we're there, and we're there on purpose. We're no pun intended. We're there by design to reach those people, because a lot of them don't have a driver's license.
Right.
Some of them
You went where the need was.
and we're staying there.
Yeah.
It'd be easier to go out somewhere and find even a safer area.
Yeah.
But we're not about that. We're
No,
about
understood.
reaching these guys where they're at.
Well said. So giving people a chance and having programs in which we've had a number of shows where we've talked to companies that are doing just that. So it's great to be able to see that confirmation of this is effort that needs to be established by Indianapolis businesses to be able to open up their doors to not just a particular workforce, but expand your options of workforce and be able to train people and be able to give back into a career path. Absolutely.
Yep.
So
Give a hand up.
absolutely.
Yep.
And just one for the ladies. I've talked so much about the men that we're helping, and at this point, the employees we take on are men.
Yep.
Will that change? I don't know. But our director's wife, Mrs. Palmer, has for years ran a ministry down in the same area called Heart Change Ministries. And they reach out to the ladies. There's a lot of ladies in that area. There's a lot of single moms that really need help, encouragement. They need to know how to develop some life skills. So that's been going on for years. They need to be featured sometime on your show or elsewhere. But so we're not just we're not being chauvinistic and saying the men need help. We don't care about the ladies. The ladies absolutely, and there's a lot of the ladies in these areas that are staying in the homes and raising the children, and they need a special blessing and help.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dan,
Yeah.
for your time today, and kudos for the continued work in Purposeful Designs. And we're certainly going to lift up your brand and be able to give an example to Indianapolis. And we wish you all the best in
Yeah,
the world.
keep up the great work. Thank you for what you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And who knows what we can do with you? Because I'm really interested in some of this furniture here in this organization as well. So,
And I'll be getting a cutting board for my mom for Christmas.
there you go.
We'd love to help you. And come see us sometime.
I will. I
Yes.
absolutely will.